I want to say hello, and welcome. While we are checking to make sure that everything is good and live, I just want to say this is the Design Pattern Create Summit, and I am super excited. This is our first live Q&A. So we have Monica here and Annette. So if you have any questions specifically for them, they are here live to be able to answer them. If you have questions for either V or Alexandra, they will still be in the group, still be able to answer the questions. It just won't be live. They will be on um, live later in the week. I believe they're both going to be here on Friday. So we can definitely get started. But I want to say welcome. And if you have questions, make sure to drop them either in the description. We'll be monitoring both YouTube, Facebook, and also the questions in the community. So I know we have some live participants here. Do you guys have any questions to start off? Silence. Oh, well, actually, what I should do, I did this last year and I totally spaced. Monica, would you go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody so everybody knows who you are and what you do, and then Annette can follow after.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Monica. I am a back designer and a pattern drafting instructor, and I run my little business called Also Petite, where I release patterns for other bag makers so they can create beautiful bags and accessories. And that's basically what I do.
Awesome.
Amazing. So I'm Annette. I run Fashion Design Tribe, and I'm a fashion designer and product developer. So I work a lot with startup and smaller fashion brands, and I help them through one-to-one mentoring and through a course community to start their own fashion brands and the production side in particular.
Awesome. Yes, I always enjoy speaking. You guys were here at my last summit last year. So thank you for returning, and I'm so glad you guys are here. I always enjoy hearing what you're up to now and everything. And I'm Christina Hadley-Dyke. I teach people how to digitally draft sewing patterns so they can create their own amazing pieces of wearable art, whether that's for them or for sewing patterns for other people, where I'm here to help you learn how to do it digitally so it can go faster. Since we don't have any questions coming in our chat quite yet, Monica, I did have somebody reach out to me directly and ask about digitally drafting bags. Do you do
Okay.
digitally drafting bags?
Yes, I
Do you
do
do that
because
at all?
I do release my own patterns for bags and accessories. So I do have to make them digitally and sell them in PDF form. So yeah, I do that. Is
Do you
there was like a
normally?
follow-up question of how I do it or how
They were just curious, and I told them to go check you out today. So hopefully they've definitely looked at
check
your
me out?
stuff.
Yeah.
Do you
Yes,
normally hand
yes.
draft them and then digitally import them, or do you draft them on the computer?
It really depends on the complexity. If it's a very simple design, like just rectangles, squares, I typically go straight away to the Inkscape software because that's the program I use. It's a free software, so if you want to learn how to, draft your own patterns, if you want to start creating digital patterns, I would highly recommend this program because it's free and you don't really, have to worry about like upfront costs. And I've been using it since day one, so now over 5 years, and I'm still using it. So I can highly recommend for making bags in smaller projects. It's probably not, it wouldn't be quite good enough for like clothing because I guess it doesn't have all that options that other programs have. It's very basic in my understanding at least. So there are like walkaways around if you want to draft very like specific shapes and very complex patterns, but it takes time to learn the program. So yeah, I think the programs you working with, Christina, it's I think much easier to create patterns and actually see them come to life than Inkscape. But for bags, since they are very like majority of time they are very simple shapes, Inkscape is great.
Yeah. Well, Inkscape is very similar to Adobe, right? Where a lot of the key commands are the similar, or no, is that just Affinity Designer?
I believe so. But all I know about other programs is what I see on YouTube. When I researched 5-6 years ago, what program people use to create digital patterns. I see there are there are similarities, but I think Inkscape is more basic. It doesn't have very in-depth like options and tools to make the process of drafting patterns quicker. I think if I want to do specific things, sometimes I have to like think about how to do it in Inkscape, because you probably have like a one button, measure seam or measure something or resize things. It's probably like one button or command. So I think in that sense, Inkscape is a little bit behind, but it's a free program, so I cannot complain, and I'm not planning to change it anytime soon.
Yeah. I do know Sheridith actually alters digital patterns in Inkscape as well. So it is possible. But yes, I normally use Clo 3D. So we did have a question on YouTube from Michelle that says, what are some of one of the pattern programs you use? So I use Affinity Designer mostly, depending on what I'm doing and who I'm working with at the time. It sounds like Monica uses Inkscape mostly. Is that right?
That's the only thing I know.
And then Monica, we do have a question in the chat that says, do you have samples of bags to see?
Do I? I have a couple actually. So I can show you my latest one that's actually being released soon. Let me just grab it.
Sneak peek.
Yes.
Right.
Actually, the testing started yesterday. So this is my latest little design. I don't know if you can see that on camera. It's like a mini crossbody bag. And what I've done here is you can have like a card pocket, like a pocket for cards, and it's very basic. So there's no zipper pocket or anything like this. I wanted to create more beginner friendly pattern because I tend to create more complex patterns with like a lot of pockets. I love zippers. So my previous one was actually the hip bag. I have my sample here. I can show you. That was my previous pattern. It was like a fanny pack, hip bag. I don't know how you call them in America. So that was my previous design. So that's two of my latest designs. I have others, but they are like hidden away, so I don't want to go and look for them. But these are the ones that I actually use daily. That's why I can just grab them and have them, by my side.
Fair enough. We also have another question on YouTube from Vivian that says, for us beginners, can you explain what digital design involves? So I guess I can start with that one, and I might shoot that over to you, Annette, and then Monica. So digital design kind of probably means something a little bit different to all of us, because it depends on if you're a pattern maker or a designer. So I digitally draft patterns, and I design patterns as well, but a lot of times I'm working with somebody who has drawn a beautiful picture for me to reference, or something like that, or they're trying to create something that is just this 2D rendering that I'm trying to create into a 3D world. So that's kind of how I view that digital design. It's that process of taking that 2D rendering into the 3D world through pattern making and flat patterning, sometimes draping. I'm doing more and more draping in Clo 3D, and that's much harder to do than it is by hand. But it's one of those learning curves that you have to kind of learn with. What about you, Annette?
Well, I love that you said that we see it differently, and we do. Because like the step you're doing for me is the step where I'm now dabbling, right? But I'm not in the 3D world that much yet. But for me, it kind of has different meanings because there are different types if you're in the fashion industry, different types of digital drawings. I mean, you have the drawing that is called like the technical drawing, which probably is what gets to you, right? Where you show what seams are going everywhere and how the garment should be constructed inside out and all of that. But then if you're mainly just working as a fashion designer and not on the technical side, I think most people would think of uh, a 2D drawing made digitally, but with like a bit of movement and a bit of wrinkles and creases, and so that you can present like your lovely design to someone and it has a little bit of a reality to it. So I think today now we work a lot of like 2D, 3D, and then it becomes 2D patterns. It's become it's become a lot of different 2D, 3D versions.
Yeah, accurate. Monica, do you have a?
I think for me, because I am a self-taught bag designer, so I didn't really go to school. I didn't study that subject. It's from my understanding, when I think about it is more like you, Christina, said, right, taking the 2D and putting it digitally in 2D. So it's flat on the computer, but so when you print it on a piece of paper, you basically you transfer your paper pattern, your paper sketch to digitally on the computer. That's my understanding basically.
Awesome. And we do have another question from YouTube that says, what is your favorite part of the design process? Who wants to start? You want to start, Annette?
I I think, I mean, if you are into, I think, sewing, creative things within fashion, everything, for me, I mean, touching the fabrics and choosing fabrics, and that part is just like so absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Monica?
Okay. Well, for me it's different actually. For me, my favorite part is when I actually get to see the finished project. When I already created everything and either I saw my first mock-up, so I can test if the idea is actually like workable, doable, I can actually use it, or yeah, or if I don't do a mock-up because it's a very simple design and I already know it's going to work, fingers crossed at least, then yeah, it's the last part when I actually see it being, live in my hands. That's my favorite part because then I get to actually enjoy it. And what I always do is actually use my own mock-ups. So I tend to pick a fabric that is usable and I can use it. I can test it. If I make a backpack, I can test if it's comfortable to wear. If I go shopping, I can test it. So yeah, I love this part. For me, choosing, like Annette said, choosing the fabric, it's actually one of the hardest parts. I don't know why. I have plenty of fabrics. They are all beautiful, but to actually combine and pick the right fabric, pick the right print or color combination, that's always very, very stressful for me. So that's why I always like to see the final bit because then I can see, okay, yes, it actually worked. The fabric I picked, the print, it actually looks good or it doesn't and I have to start over, but it's still usable. I still can enjoy it, so that's what I say.
Yeah.
It's the most fun for me.
Yeah. I also struggle with choosing fabric sometimes because sometimes you have too many good choices and you have to
Yes.
pick. And that's
I
that's
kind of
sometimes the
also
hard part.
I also feel like though, like what Monica said there, like of how it's used or how it will be used. That's why I think it's so exciting because you need to it's not just like touching it and obviously feeling that it's soft and lovely or whatever. It's about the end use, and that's so exciting. It's really like you have to, it's like coming up with any design. You have to figure out how the end use is going to be and if it's going to work for it. And I think that for me like makes that part also like super exciting. It's like exciting to feel the fabrics and see the sheen and all that, but it's also like what comes next? Can this work? Will it work? And how will it work? And Yeah, for me that's really fun.
Yeah. For me, there's two parts. I always struggle because I love the finished product. I love like finally getting done with all the details work and details and the minute things, and you're like, oh my goodness, how long is this going to take? And then you finally get to see that final product. I love that. But I also love the problem solving that sometimes comes with, the pattern making of it. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, I want to make this beautiful thing, but I only have, a yard and 7 inches. So how can I design within that yard and 7 inches to actually produce what I want, but not, and still make it fit and not have it. So I also love that problem solving. Don't get me wrong, sometimes the problem solving, you start banging your head against a wall and you're like, why did I choose this? Why am I doing this? But that's also sometimes really fun for me because it's like the challenge and everything. I really enjoy that. So we do have a question from Fran here in Zoom that says, how do you market your designs?
Well, for me, how do I market? Just email. I have my email list. I have my YouTube channel and social media. I have a special group dedicated for my patterns, my page, and then Instagram and TikTok. So anything you can do, send emails, you post the funny videos, whatever you can do nowadays to put yourself out there.
Yeah. It's one of those balancing acts of how much you spend on social media and how much time do you spend creating some of those fun videos and how much time do you spend actually then making your own bags. And that's something that's sometimes hard to juggle, I find.
Well, I would say I think it depends also obviously what your product is, but I think nearly it's the same for whether you're selling even a digital product like a pattern or you're selling a product. I mean, I work a lot with startup fashion brands and we talk a lot about that like process of how to market them. But I think what's really important, which like you can never get enough of saying, it's that you need to know your customer really well. And when you know your customer, that's when you know how to reach them. And then you plug away on the things that Monica mentioned. But I think it's just like if you know your customer, you also know how to best sell it and you build up a strategy around it and don't do everything at once, like one step at a time. One social media or if you want to sell on markets, like then focus on that and then build it up gradually. Like no business is ever done like this overnight. So think about who your customer is and where you can find them.
Yeah, that's the best advice for sure. And not trying to be everywhere at once. It's just kind of impossible to do that. And sometimes you just have to pick and choose. So
Hard when you're creative and hard when you're an entrepreneur, but very good
Yeah,
advice.
I always joke with my friends that if I didn't have my business, if I didn't have to be on social media, I would not be on social media at all. I would have YouTube because that's just like you don't even have to be on social there, and that's it. TikToks, Instagram is purely for my business. I don't even post any like person. I don't have personal accounts on those social medias because, like you said, it's a lot of work. And the only reason why I do have like accounts on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is because I cross promote and I post the same content everywhere. So once I create it, it doesn't really take much to post it onto other platforms. It takes a minute. So that's the only reason why I have all of them because you never know where your customer is. I have people on every single platform and they have their own favorite platforms. So since I'm posting the same thing everywhere, why not? It's just easier. It's easier. It works for me basically, but I know it can be draining and time consuming at times. So no, it's not for everybody.
yeah, especially when you're sometimes a one woman show that you sometimes get help from VAs or help from other people, but for the most part, it's all you.
Yeah, that's why I must say, depending on how you want to do your social, but I love going live now instead of actually having to create a funny video. Maybe I'm not very big on the funny videos, like doing them, but like it's so much easier. I just press a button and then I'm there and I've done it. So, but I do agree with Monica, like if you do it, whatever, I think even with your designs, think about this, right? If you design if Monica does her bags, if she can reuse that structure, which I'm sure she does, you can do something else by it. I think anything you do, like try and use it for many things, whether it's your social marketing or it's your creative design, like you can reuse and tweak and change and get more sales from it.
Yeah, sorry. I just had something pop up over. When you're double dipping, sometimes you're like, oh, stuff happens. Yeah. Um, now I lost my train of thought. We were talking about socials, yes. Uh, so we do have another question on YouTube. How can emerging designers familiarize themselves with this language? I'm guessing that's some sort of probably terminology for the either the bag making industry or the fashion industry. So would you maybe want to start with that, Annette, of how could like a new emerging designer familiarize themselves with like language for terminology used in the fashion industry?
I think it's kind of the same for bags and for like fashion, shoes. I mean, I think the best way, and I know that in today's recordings in the summit, there's mine talking about the point of measures, for example, uh, and also Alexandra. And on that note, she talked about the pattern master. I just wanted to show one if anyone goes back to to that video. I love it too, Alexandra. But yeah, I think there's so many free resources. So download what I've put out, download what Alexandra had put out. There are obviously you can get a pattern cutting book. There's some of the terminology there. Sometimes I mean, try and find the more modern one maybe. Some of them uses like more old school terminology. But yes, there are lots of resources out there. And I would say the best way to just get into it, it's try and find it and just keep it as a reference. I mean, in the beginning, you can keep a sheet next to you. Like you don't need to remember them by heart. Later you will, and later you will remember your measurements without even having to think as well. Oh yeah, that should be 8. Oh no, I like that 3. But like just keep a record next to you and keep going. But yeah, there's difference for shoes, there's different for bags because they're different hardwares and different materials. But it's all out. You can probably Google lists if you want to.
Yeah, I can talk from my personal experience because, like I mentioned, I'm self-taught back designer. So, and English is actually my second language because I'm originally from Poland. So I had to flip my way of thinking to actually and learn all those names and terminology for bag making. And I still to this day sometimes I need to Google or YouTube it the way certain parts of a bag are called because I don't know what they are called, and they are probably called differently in UK where I am based and in America and in Canada and in other language other countries that speak English. So I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself if you don't know a specific terminology because it's more like a jargon most of the time as well nowadays, that one designer calls it one way and then another designer calls it a little bit different. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, to be honest. But yeah, you can probably find everything on YouTube and to Google nowadays. So I would start there.
And also if you make patterns or you make drawings, we're visual, you can draw it. Like draw what shape or what flap or what kind of seam or photographs. I mean, I think since I communicate lots with factories in different parts of the world, photographs says a lot more than the actual perfect terminology. It helps if you know the terminology because most of them might not know the terminology what it actually means. They might have memorized their translation or something, so hence why it's good to know them. But like a photograph, seriously, or a drawing.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to say is I find terminology is sometimes there's a lot of similarities, but there is also a lot of differences. So sometimes, especially when you're working with people who are sometimes overseas, or you're working with um, not companies, factories that might not speak the same language as you as a first language, and you just want to make sure, like you said, a picture is sometimes better than the perfect terminology, just because we all learn different things and all reference different things at different times. Um, so we have another question from Michelle. How important or advantageous is it that you know how to draft patterns by hand first? Or is the new 3D, 2D patterns program so user-friendly that you don't need prior knowledge? I have mixed feelings on this one personally, because I feel like if you learn how to draft by hand first, probably be a little bit easier because it's a tactile thing where you can physically see the paper, you're drawing out the lines, and then you can take it and to your little dress form or something and kind of hold it up and see how it's actually working around. Now, within like Clo 3D specifically, you can actually still kind of get that. But there are times where it's just gonna be like Clo 3D likes to make stuff fit even when it won't fit. So it'll sometimes make a garment fit around a human that it won't actually fit. And when you actually look at the fit or look at everything, it's like completely red. It's like this would never actually fit this size of person. Um, so I think there's a lot of positive things to actually learn at hand draft first. That being said, I don't think it's 100% necessary, especially if you're willing to learn it in the 2D, 3D, then print them out or project them out and try them on a dress form. A lot of people are like, oh, I can do everything in 3D. I don't ever have to do mock-ups anymore. I don't ever have to sew anymore. I can make all these patterns without actually taking the time to do the mock-ups and make sure the fit is really amazing. And that's 3D, or the 3D stuff, it's not there yet. Like it might get there one day. It's not going to be any day soon. You'll still need to do the mock-up. You'll still need to do a test fit. So I do have mixed feelings on that. I can see it going both ways, but it's still that learning process of you have to learn. You have to actually make the clothes as well. So and the Clo 3D program in general also takes a lot of computer RAM and space. So you have to have a pretty high-end computer to get that thing working properly. We also have a question. What do you all think from Mary, what do you all think about body scanners for custom dress forms or garment patterns? I've been really looking into this. I have not actually done a lot of it myself, but I have a few that are on my to-do list for after the summit. The summit has encapsulated my time. So I actually have a few that I'm going to be testing out soon. So I'll definitely be posting about Mary. So if you stay in touch via YouTube or anything, you'll probably be seeing stuff soon about that, because I've been very interested, because there's some amazing technology that's coming out with those body scanners. I'm like, if I could actually take a picture of because I also sometimes do overhire work in theater, if I could take a picture of my actor and have their perfect avatar up in my Clo 3D program, I'm like, that's pretty darn cool.
I'm gonna, because I've also been looking into AI a lot lately, and I went to Milan Design Week to have a talk about it. So I looked in a lot about like the different ways as well, and a lot of like similar or more advanced programs to Clo 3D. And so like to refer back to the other question as well, most of those, which are amazing pattern cutting programs and design programs, like with the amazing features, but very expensive. In those, however, a lot of it is based from proper pattern cutting skills that you have acquired beforehand, and it's often very made for tailors. But some of those also have that you can obviously insert your specific measurements to, okay, you're not scanning the body, but you can insert it and then get just a pattern. So one of the ones I'm so bad with names, but email me if you're interested and I will let you know. But one of them that I met at a fair, I mean, they are specifically like for tailors so that you can do one-to-one like for your customer. And I mean, it was just, yeah, mind-blowing. And I also like, but I mean, I think it will get there because I also looked at a lot of like for your customer to show them maybe what your design will be. You can now with AI like take your photograph of your design or your drawing and the body picture of your customer, and whoops, your customer is wearing it. And that's pretty awesome. So I mean, there's so many cool stuff coming. But I am with Christina on the thing that I think we're in a learning curve. There's a lot of things that need to happen. And I do think from the beginning, like if you can learn pattern cutting, doesn't have to be on paper, obviously, but I think you need to get some kind of skills if that's the area you wanna like be in. Because if you want to build something in Clothes 3D, or if you want to sell a pattern, PDF pattern, whatever, you need to know what you're doing.
Oh, you froze for the end of that
Oh.
one.
I just said if you want to do like patterns to sell, PDF patterns, or if you want to do like anything Clothes 3D designs and stuff, and you want to do it well, you need to know pattern cutting basics. You maybe don't have to go super advanced, but knowing, I mean, I think a good designer, even if you want to be a junior designer, you're starting out in the fashion industry, you want to work for a big company, you will be much better, much more confident, and do so much better if you know what is possible. Like why can I attach this here and why not there, and like a little bit of basics.
And then it'll be easier to talk to people who know a whole lot more than you when you're asking those questions of, well, why can't we make this cape stand straight up instead of fall straight down? That's a very drastic question, but sometimes if somebody knows the some of those basic concepts, it's easier to explain to them why you need to do X, Y, and Z to complete their design. We had a question come in through Zoom for you, Monica. Do you have difficulty deciding what embellishments, zippers, or buttons that will work better?
I don't really, because I don't really create bags with a lot of embellishments. Uh, Mostly it's a hardware. So you've got your D-rings, your swivel hooks, adjusters, tongue locks, twist locks, and stuff like that. And this can be, some of them, depending on the type of your design, they can be interchangeable. So you can use either magnetic snap or a press snap or a tongue lock. You just have to slightly move the placement of specific hardware. But otherwise, zippers is a zipper, in my opinion. It doesn't really matter if it's a plastic coil, metal zipper, they work all the same. So it's more of, if I find it difficult to pick a color, that's another ball game, because that goes into the area of pick the right fabric, pick the right color. So matching those, that can be a little bit difficult. And what I found is that the more options at home you have with different colors, the harder it gets. So what I decided to do this year is to limit my options in color like a wave. So instead of having, the brass, the nickel, the rose gold, and the rainbow, and all those colors of hardwares, I'll just stick to like three basic ones, the classics, I should say. And yeah, I try to do that with any other like notions and things that I would add to my bags. But I don't typically pick designs, or I don't create designs with a lot of embellishments. I would love to have like an embroidery machine. If I did have a space, I would probably buy it. And then you can ask me, how hard it would be to decide what design to put on the front flap or something like that. But I don't. So again, it's much easier to make those decisions if you have a limited options.
Yeah. Awesome. So you say, I know I was going to ask you, do you buy in bulk? But so are you now trying to like also limit how much? Because I know you said you're limiting colors and everything, but do you still try to have like a number of options on hand?
I try to have the like two sizes. Usually I have two sizes of hardware, so like an 1 inch and 3/4 of an inch. But now because I'm designing this little bag, I actually decided to use larger webbing. So now I had to buy different hardware, larger hardware. So it's like an inch and a half hardware because for some reason, I don't know if it's just UK, it's very, very difficult to find webbing in like 1 inch that is pretty. They mostly come in like 1.5 inch sizes, like with the pretty prints and stuff. And I wanted to, I wanted to start using more webbing. So I kind of cut my time in half by sewing my straps. Before I was always making fabric straps. So it takes time and it's not really enjoyable step for me at least. I always tend to leave them to the very last end. And if I have a webbing, and especially if it's like a pretty, print or whatever, it just makes the bag pop out even more. So yeah, even though I wanted to reduce my size and color, options now, I have to kind of increase the size. But I am still choosing to you have just the three colors, the main colors, and just have enough of each just so I know that when I work on a specific design and I know this type of hardware is being used, this size is being used, then at least I have one set for a mock-up or foil or whatever you want to call it, prototype, so I can use it and they are all the same color because but mind you, sometimes I do mix different colors if I don't have it in one color. But if I use it by myself, at home, whatever, it's not a big deal. But if I want to send it over or gift it to someone, I always want to make sure the hardware is the same color and they come in so many different colors. So just don't give yourself a headache like me. Just reduce the options. Just stick to the basics. Otherwise, you're gonna regret it.
They're all optional, but
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think did somebody try to ask a question on Zoom here? I heard somebody pop up. Maybe not. Maybe it was just a accidental. Yeah, I can feel you there because I definitely feel like I have a few too many options of some stuff too. What should be the next project? What should be my next build? And there's so many lined up in the brain and you're like, oh, but I want to do this one, but I want to do this one. So that's good advice. Limit your options a little bit.
You never know when you need it, right?
I know.
I've gone through fabric swatches today from years back. I'm so glad I had them.
Yeah. You cut out for part of that. So you had three swatches. You got three swatches
Yeah,
today?
I've got lots of swatches from years ago. So today I went through and just found lots of lovely things to show someone tomorrow. But I can't get rid of them.
Yeah. That
Yeah, the worst thing is like when you want to buy something and it comes in bulk, because obviously it's cheaper sometimes to buy things in bulk. Like I have an example. Lately, recently I made hobby horses for my goddaughter. I made like a two horse head. I don't know if you're familiar with that hobby horse kind of whatever theme for kids and adults. Anyway, she wanted two. So I saw those two head horses, and for some reason she wanted the kind of like a glass eye, like you have in toys for eyes, like they look like a glass eye. She wanted that, and I don't use that for bags, so
oh,
I had to order it. So now I have a whole box, like I think six different sizes, different colors of eyes. And I'm like, now I'm gonna have to come up with projects to use them up because otherwise they're gonna, stay in my closet forever. So now I'm already thinking in my head, what bag I should design So I can put eyes on the bag, so it looks cool. So yeah, it's dangerous if you have too many options.
Oh, I'm gonna be watching for that. Like I can just like picture a bag like a creepy dark bag with all like watching eyes or like all cute little animals on it. Like I mean my mind kind of went in very two different directions, but I don't know. That's fun. Awesome. Well, while we still have about 15 minutes while we're waiting for maybe some more questions to come in. I am going to talk about our leadership board prizes because those have not quite been announced yet. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in a second and walk everybody through what the leadership board prizes are. I went in and kind of was looking at some stuff and I noticed on the automation, some people have already gotten 8,000 points, not quite. There's been a few mix-ups there. Should only be able to get 1,000 points for watching the dailies. So I'm gonna have to go in and look at some of those automations and get those fixed. So there's a little bit of fun in the back end stuff that's happening right now. But we are going to talk through the stuff that you can get for the leadership board. So we're going to share that screen really fast. And everybody disappeared on me. Go. Are you guys able to see my screen? Which screen can you see? Is it the free summit package?
Yes.
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 It went completely dark on me and I can't see anybody now. So I don't know. So yeah. So anyways, we're going to be giving away a couple of free VIP packages at the end of the summit. So if you're commenting and everything, you'll get into that leaderboard. You'll have a chance to get a spin for a win of the free VIP package. So you have lifetime access to these videos, lifetime access to the tutorials, and have some really great learning opportunities. So that is one of the prizes. Now remember, you can win points for the leadership board by going through the community. Everything has to be through the community to get points because the community is the thing that's going to be tracking everything. And like I said, I'm gonna have to check some of the automations because you should get 1,000 points for clicking on the link to go watch the daily video. So you have to click that link. So even if you click the link in the email throughout the day, just go and make sure you click it in the community as well. You also get points for posting in the community. So we want to hear about who you are and what you do. So you get points for posting. You get points for asking questions in here. So I'll be able to add the questions that we got from the VIPs. We'll be able to put those in. But if you asked a question on YouTube that you go into the community so that you can get points for those questions. I don't have any way to have the community talk to YouTube to be able to track it like that. So let's keep going. Next, Alexandra has provided a complimentary 4-month membership inside of her program. So you could be the winner of a 4-month membership for free. She was also a speaker today, is going to be giving away an ultimate upcycling fashion bundle. So this is a really great book, I believe it is, and it kind of helps you walk through some ideas for the projects. This little slideshow I'm showing will be posted in the community right after the live today as well, so you can look into it a little bit deeper. We also have Thunderbird giving us 2 mystery fabric boxes. So you also have the availability to get one of 2 fabric handcrafted boxes, mystery boxes. We also have a $100 gift card from Fashion Fabrics Club. We have a PDF sewing pattern from Maiden Mary. This is her Rose Utility Suit pattern, so you have the option for that. Then we also have her River Riviera dress and corset PDF pattern. So you could possibility win those two. We also have another $50 gift card from Stone Mountain and Daughter Fabrics. And then I also make zipper earrings, and we'll be giving away a few zipper earrings to a few different lucky winners at the end. So that is going to be those are the prizes right now for the leaderboard. Super exciting. I know something came in on the Zoom. Oh, a Halloween bag with spider eyes. That is a really fun idea. And then we did have a couple, I think we have a couple come in on YouTube. Let's see here. Elizabeth says, I feel like a complete novice. I have so much to learn. Everybody has to start somewhere. And I mean, there's different times, even when somebody's really high skilled at one aspect of something in sewing, or there's always something new to learn, whether it's a new technology, a new type of dress or garment to make, or anything like that. I always feel like you sometimes used to getting kicked back down to the bottom to relearn stuff. What do you guys think about?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I tend to put myself in the box every single month or every other month when I want to try something different, something new that I haven't done yet. So obviously I have to look at it from the beginner perspective. I have to take a 10 step back, and it's like, okay, I'm learning new things. For me, it might have been an old thing because I'm new into this world, but it's fine. Don't I stopped thinking this way, that it's a bad thing. Actually, it's a good thing. If you think about it, we're learning always and forever till we die. We always learn something new. So, and the world goes so fast. Is changing so fast that it feels sometimes like we are catching up, always catching up. So yeah, just have an open mind and just learn at your own pace, and just take as much as you can and try to enjoy it. I think that's the most important thing. Just enjoy what you do, because if that's your passion, if that's your hobby, you want to enjoy it. And yeah, just learn at your own pace.
Yeah. I never remember who I heard this from or learned this from, but somebody when I was way at the beginning said to me is don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle or end, because you're there on a different path than you are, and you have to find your own path. You have to create your own path. And the great thing about that is you can always U-turn on your own path, or start taking a hard left turn and change how you want to make your path go. You want to say anything, Annette?
I'm like, I don't even know what to say after all your lovely words, but I so agree. I mean, I learn things and I make mistakes probably daily. Some might be within like how to put things and fabrics together. Some might be how to do a marketing project, whatever. It's like so different. But for me, it's exactly what you say. It's just about the learning and having fun. And for me, I love learning. I think the more I've been an entrepreneur, the more I love learning. And I think like we're all in different places, but we all can learn from each other. Hence why I love being here.
Sorry, you froze a little bit. And I started talking.
It's my internet. I'm sorry, my internet's so bad today. But yeah, it's like I love talking to Christina because I don't know much about clothes 3D. I mean, I'm just like dabbling. I really want to. And I'm gonna be like I'm a novice. It's fine. I will learn. It's okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's something that it's so important to, I feel like, keep learning. I was gonna go somewhere else with that, of something you said directly, and then I'm spacing it. Oh, the summit. I love putting this thing together, because I love talking to all these speakers, because they have such different knowledges and such different ways of that they went through their life and went through their learning process and how they do stuff. And I asked everybody this year what their favorite sewing tool was, so that I could maybe buy more sewing tools. Because I'm like, what sewing tools do I not know about? Like, people are obsessed with. I have to know. Because it's so true. You can learn something from everybody.
Yeah.
Awesome. We've been getting a lot of support here on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching and everything and being so supportive of learning and everything. I think that is very, very important. Awesome. Well, we still have a little bit of time. Do you guys have anything you want to say? I'm sure we have, or is there any other questions that come up? If you haven't been able to actually join us during the live, the speakers will be in the community, so you can ask your questions there, and I can make sure that if I see it come in, I can make sure they see it as well. It's always easier if you actually post your questions on the live Q&A actual post. That way it's a little bit more contained. We can find it a little bit easier and they'll be able to ask it or answer it quicker than if it's just posted in the discussion and then it just kind of sinks to the nethers of a community like that. So awesome.
I wanted to just, it's not a really question, but for you, Christina, whenever I see your post on Instagram about the Cloud 3D program,
Yeah.
when the 2D comes into 3D, oh, that's always, it's like such a fun thing, visual thing to see. And I always get jealous because I'm thinking, oh, I wish Inkscape was doing that for my bag because it would be so much like it would be so interesting to see, all those pieces come together. And it's just such a fun way of showing to your audience as well, how this program works, what it can do. So I just wanted to drop this because I always found it so fascinating.
Yeah, I love seeing other people's because it's like, oh, that's a really cool thing, and then it unfolds. You're like, oh, that's how I love seeing the pattern pieces and everything. But I also wanted to mention, I know people who actually do Clo 3D for bags specifically. So it is, you have to pay for it, but you too could do it and learn Clo 3D and have your bag have all your pattern pieces and then suck them together and
Yeah, maybe one day. At the moment, I feel like it would be such a big learning curve for me because I'm so used to Inkscape. And I think it's the same like if you've got iPhone and Android, swapping, it's like either or either. So you stick to the program that you know. And but yeah, maybe because I love seeing it, so it might be the selling point, for me.
oh, you froze for the end of that. It might be in your future, I'm assuming.
Yeah, maybe because of that 3D effect, it might be the selling point that makes me, jump over to the different programs. So you never know. You never know. Maybe next summit I'll be like, yeah, I got it. You never know.
Test it out for 14 days. Unfortunately, they have a 14-day free trial. It used to be 30, and they've shrunk it to 14. I'm like, oh, don't keep shrinking it. It's so hard to learn it, even in 14 days. I'm like, oh.
Do you teach though? Do you have like classes? That's okay, so that's fine. If I do decide it, I know who to go for to and ask questions.
Definitely, that's who I'm gonna learn from for sure. Can I ask an Inkscape question?
Sure.
Is that only like for your pattern pieces, or do you get like or can you draw like your sketch in there as well?
No, you can sketch as well. You can do a lot of things.
Mm.
I always tell my members in my membership that I think I use maybe like 10% of that program for what I need to make my patterns. I use maybe 10%, but there's a lot you can do. You can do drawings, logos, a lot of things. It's just I'm not as creative as that on computer. Computer is like my biggest enemy, and
Your
it's just the
sewing
basic.
machine.
Yeah, my sewing machine is behind me. That's my best friend, but computer is like, yeah, it's like my frenemy.
Well, in that case, when just like if you can do the drawing, it won't be as advanced and amazing like Christina's coming together in 3D, but you can. There's like AI programs now where you can pop in your sketch and it works for
Okay.
bags too. And then it renders it into a 3D, like a photograph of how your bag would look in 3D from the sketch.
Okay,
So that
that's
you
good
can
to know.
quickly see. One of them is called New Arc, and you get a few free points. But you need to give it like prompts, like with ChatGPT. Change that to
Okay.
red. No, change the material. But it's quite cool. It's a start, but it's fun.
Well, that's good to know, you know, like AI is changing and growing every single day. All the programs, software, apps, and everything is coming every day. So to keep up with all that is too much.
It's a lot.
It's too much.
Yeah. We did have a question come in from Fran that says, what program do you use to design dresses and pants, etc.? The program I was talking about was Clo 3D. And that's one I mainly use. But then when I'm finalizing patterns to send places, I also use Illustrator and Affinity Designer to get all those things put together. But there are three really great programs that I kind of use kind of in combinations to depending
So
on who I'm
why
working with and what I'm doing.
so what do you change between the programs? Is it because some programs are lacking certain options, or is just your preference or client's
So
preference?
it's specifically when I am doing a pattern that I'm going to sell. I don't like how Clo labels their grain lines, and I don't like how they label their patterns. I think it's a little, it's not as clean and as nice as I like to do it. I like to, on my grain lines, I like to have the pattern name, the part it's on, and then that's where I also like to put like, how many are you going to cut? What are you going to cut it out of? Like, I like to put all my information real tight in there. So when I'm selling my own patterns, I like to export it from Clo 3D into Illustrator to put on those final touches for patterns that I'm going to sell for other people. But if
So you don't
I'm
tweak it in Illustrator, you mainly add things.
I'm doing like the final bits. Like I love their notches. Clo 3D can do amazing notching. I would never try to notch in Illustrator ever again in my life, just
Good
because
to know.
it's so fast, so easy, and there's so many like I'll never if I don't have to ever notch again in Illustrator and try to line everything up and make sure everything's perfect. That's definitely my dream. So it's just kind of like finalizing. And Clo 3D, you can't actually easily print from home straight from Clo 3D. You have to have either like that plotter printer, and even then, you always have to export it to then be able to either put it on the 8.5 by 11 or the plotter printers to get it to print. So it's just kind of that type of stuff, I guess.
Someone needs to make a program and merge all of them together.
Well, Clo 3D listens to their customers, and so it's like when their customers start saying, "Oh, we really want this," and it starts, moving up what's important to them, and that's what they start working on, and that's what they, put on the list to update it. I mean, I feel like I'm updating Clo every like week or so because of like the new updates they have of like, oh, it was a bug, it's been updated, or there was a massive one like I think it was 3 weeks ago now. But there was so much in that update. I'm still trying to unpack all these new features that I'm like, I'm a little deer in headlights speaking about learning new stuff. Like this program's keeping changing and adding new stuff. And it's like, oh, I didn't know it could do that. That's so cool. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you ladies for joining me today at this at our first live Q&A here. Any
Well, thank you
other?
for having us. Thank you for,
Yeah.
inviting us back to the summit. It's been a lot of fun as always.
Yeah, for sure. We did have one question pop in. Oh, it was just that was fabulous. I love the YouTube. Yep. Awesome. Sorry, trying to check everywhere, make sure all the questions get answered when they're live. So yeah, thank you again. I appreciate it.
I also just want to say thank you, and I enjoyed today's video so much. So everyone go check them out. They were so cool. So I can't wait to see all the other videos coming. And I also want to be on the leaderboard. That looks like super cool, like
Oh.
all those amazing prizes. So go watch the videos and win.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah,
thank you,
I
Christina,
was
for
about
having us.
I was about to say that before when Christina was showing all those prices. I'm like, dang, she said we're not allowed. We're not. I was about to type all the questions.
Yeah, sorry, I can't allow you guys. You're contributors. That would be maybe I'll have to get a leaderboard for my speakers. Get my speakers to come to the live Q&As and
Yeah, yeah. I'm competitive, so don't get me started on that.
does that mean I would be able to compete in my own speaker leaderboard since I'm a speaker?
Yeah.
No.
You write the rules.
Fair enough. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us on Facebook and on YouTube and in the group. And if you have any questions for any of these lovely, amazing speakers, please don't hesitate to post them in that live Q&A section underneath the day that they're on so that they can definitely find your question and be able to answer them. I look forward to seeing everybody in the group and ask your questions. And like Annette said, there's a ton more amazing speakers coming your way this week. I am super, super excited for you guys to hear the different interviews that are coming. I learned so much this year, and I had so much fun talking to everybody. So it's gonna be a really great year. Awesome. I am going to cancel this live stream, maybe. And we'll say thanks. Maybe not. I have to go back.